Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Cohn.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. Fire season not calling it quits in Montana yet.
2 new fires sparked over the past 48 hours, in the process destroying buildings, property, and shutting down roadways in the central part of the state.
And just north of Three Forks, the Horseshoe Fire has already destroyed several buildings. The fire, first reported at 300 acres in size yesterday, has now grown to more than 2,000 acres and is 0% contained.
The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office is keeping residents in the area informed on possible evacuations as those flames continue to threaten even more structures. MTN's Mallory Peebles joins us now from the scene.
Tuesday, the effort had already switched to monitoring hotspots and protecting homes, much of that work being done from the sky. Even with 335 gallons of river water being dropped from the sky every few minutes, the Horseshoe Fire continues its path of destruction.
Last night gave us a scare, and we realized how quickly it can happen. Something really devastating.
The young family says their home is fine, but knows others haven't been so lucky.
Weather plays a big factor in that. Today we're just hoping the weather's going to cooperate with us, keep the temperature down a little bit.
Heavy machines have been brought in to help fight the flames, but dry conditions and steep terrain requires ground crews to rely heavily on aerial support, consisting of 2 helicopters plus fixed-wing planes. Down at the command center on Pole Gulch Road, locals have been showing their thanks.
Someone was saying that firefighters just needed coffee, and so we were thinking it's a way we could give back and help a little bit.
Help being given as easily as it's received.
We had people showing up with horse trailers to help us get the cows out and taking our animals, because we're right back up near the fire.
As it continues to burn, so will the support to those impacted and those trying to contain the flames. To hear the latest on this fire between our newscast, be sure to check our website. Reporting from Clarkston, I'm Mallory Peebles with MTN News.
Right, thanks, Mallory.
Mallory tells us authorities have not yet confirmed the exact number of structures lost in that fire and whether, if any of them, have been homes.
Now, the cause of the fire is still under investigation.
And not far away, Highway 12 between Townsend and White Sulphur Springs is reopened again today. This after flames from a private burn blew out of control yesterday.
Here's a look at the flames burning right up against Highway 12 last evening. Broadwater County Sheriff Wynn Meehan says the farmer was conducting a prescribed burn when winds picked up and carried flames outside his fire line.
Officials say the fire burned between 250 and 450 acres. Now, residents in the area were put on a temporary evacuation notice last night, but that notice was quickly canceled.
Do not let your guard down against wildfires. That's the key message as we turn to Bob McGuire with our weather update tonight. Bob.
Yeah, I've got to tell you guys, the cooler temperatures has helped a little bit, but because the area is still so dry, still fire danger an issue. Let me show you the latest fire danger rating map we have. This came out this afternoon, and as you see, much of Montana in the green. That's the low to moderate fire danger, but we still have a few places out west, north of Missoula, south of Missoula near Butte, where we have high fire danger there. Other places towards southwestern Montana, in I believe it's Madison and also Beaverhead County, we have high to very high fire danger. Same thing in south central Montana, and also from Havre all the way down through Lewistown, near Great Falls, all the way down towards Bozeman. So still has some very high to high danger, fire danger in that area. So we're still looking at some problems. You still want to be very careful with fire danger. We'll have your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Those who respond to emergency calls across our area have a new home, allowing for a more timely, coordinated response across Billings and Yellowstone County. The fire department's 911 center staff showing off those new additions and improvements today. Some of those extras include locker rooms, dormitories, a kitchen and break room, and even a workout room. Now, this new facility nearly doubles the capacity of the former dispatch center. Communications Center Manager Ann Kindness has served as manager for 28 years and says this facility is something that's been in the works since the early 1990s.
We have storage. That's amazing. You know, it's so unusual to have adequate storage because we have radio crash kits and telephone crash kits and all the materials that we need to run this operation. We have sleep rooms that are available for come on, stay on type situations. They will also serve as quiet rooms for staff members who handle emotionally charged or traumatic calls. They have a quiet place where they can compose themselves before before they return to duty. But that's available here because we have a commitment to taking care of the people that are really making a lot of sacrifices and are so dedicated to taking care of everybody else.
And the $6 million facility just happens to be located at 911 911 North 24th Street.
Supporters of tougher drunk and drug driving laws here in Montana were rallying at the state capitol today. The event included 3 Montana DUI task forces along with Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney and Attorney General Tim Fox. Supporters offered recommendations on ways to reduce DUIs, including DUI checkpoints. Some of the other ideas requiring ignition interlocks or close monitoring of first-time DUI offenders, as well as increasing state liquor licenses and taxes to help fund new enforcement efforts.
I'm convinced that Montanans know we have a problem, but don't really realize how bad the problem is. And the solutions that are quite doable, we really want to change the culture of drinking and driving in Montana.
Now, the group Mothers Against Drunk Driving repeatedly has ranked Montana among the worst in the nation in its efforts to reduce driving under the influence.
Well, keeping hope and optimism alive, the message at today's 9/11 remembrance ceremony here in Billings.
Dozens gathering at the courthouse downtown to commemorate the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives during the deadliest terrorist attack on U.S. soil. Here tonight are some of the sights and sounds of today's ceremony.
We gather here as brothers and sisters to remember the tragedy and celebrate the heroism of September 11th, 2001 and beyond.
They were not running away from the death and destruction, but rather running fearlessly into it.
If we are to again know the unity that we experienced in the aftermath of 9/11, we'll have to remember the sacrifices of others.
We come to remember and to grieve, but also to remind ourselves that these trials were the bitter crucible in which our destinies and character were refined and forged.
As you leave here today, I challenge you to see the good in those around you. And I challenge you to make a specific goal, to do a random act of kindness.
And in that video, you saw the
Yellowstone County Sheriff Mike Linder
assisting with the laying of the wreath, a symbolic moment during the 9/11 ceremony each year.
And at the state capitol building in Helena, community members there, along with first responders, were gathering today to remember the first responders who lost their lives on this day 17 years ago.
Today's ceremony began with the posting of the colors. Montana Governor Steve Bullock and U.S. Congressman Greg Gianforte were among those to speak, marking the anniversary of the attacks against America.
That day still impacts so many, both emotionally and physically.
It's still physically having an impact, and I guess that would be another reason why we keep doing this, because there are still first responders that are getting cancer and dying as a direct result of that day.
That ceremony at the state capitol, just one of many across Montana today, marking the 9/11 anniversary, and remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Coming up on tonight's 5:30 news, that chronic pain you may be coping with could be doing a number on your mental health as well. Find out how.
And coming up in sports, Scott hears from Bozeman's Will Disley, fresh off his NFL debut Sunday, where he led the Seahawks in receiving.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade, Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire, and sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news